Alrighty guys, hi, it's Amanda. Welcome back to the channel. Clearly, as you guys can see, today I do have a guest. We are going to be having open discussion on the topic that was picked 2 weeks ago. Thank you guys for being patient with me and letting me wait a week. But we're going to go ahead and talk about it today. The topic that was picked was anxiety, PTSD, and coping mechanisms. So we're going to be talking about that today. And this is my mom. I will let her introduce herself.
Hi, guys. I'm really happy to be here. I'm Patsy. We're her mom, and I appreciate the time, too. We haven't seen each other for a year and a half, and we had really good bonding time. So I'm happy to be here with you.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and say hi to everybody, and then we will just wait for some people to come in, and then we'll go ahead and get started on the topic. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Cheryl P. and Cheryl. I hope everybody is having a good Monday. The topic, as I always have a caveat, if you're ever struggling with anything or you ever need assistance, always feel free to reach out to me via email or DM. My stuff is in my description box. If you're in the US, you can always dial *211, and they are United Way, which will link you to local resources for whatever needs you have. So, good to see you, Lisa. Hey, Renelle, how are you doing? So, this is going to be an interesting topic. Most people in today's society, I feel like, struggles with anxiety to some degree or another, whether you're diagnosed or you're not diagnosed. I personally have never been diagnosed with anxiety, but I do experience anxiety in certain situations, like traveling. When I travel for the first time by myself, what was that, like two years ago about? I was super nervous and super paranoid, and sometimes in large social gatherings, I will get social anxiety. And the way that I cope with it is I just take a few moments, kind of let myself gather my thoughts, realize that there's really nothing to worry about, and go on with my day.
I actually have been diagnosed with anxiety, and I have sought professional help before to get coping strategies for myself. And part of what led to my anxiety was I also have OCD. And I didn't even know I did. I actually, it's kind of embarrassing to say, but I feel safe on my daughter's channel, and we're all here to support each other. So it's a good time to say. I actually walked myself into a psychiatrist's office and said, I think I'm going crazy. I didn't know what OCD was. I didn't know I had it, but I know I wasted so many hours a day. In fact, I only slept 3 hours a night for 20 years because I had to check everything over and over and over. Now, I laughed with my family because I said, of course, my OCD was that compulsive cleaning where I was getting something done. But mine was just to pay a bill the old-fashioned way through the mail. I would check to see I had the stamp on maybe 10, 12 times, that I had closed the envelope, that I had written it correctly. I would look up the address over and over and over and check that the doors were locked. And even driving through the post office drop box, I would sit there and look at each one, front and back, front and back, front and back, and place them just one at a time into the box. Everything was time consuming like that. Painfully so, but I didn't know. I was a school teacher for elementary kids, and I graded all my own papers because I was picky that way and wanted to know everything. But I would grade each child's paper 7 to 10 times, which is insane for an elementary paper to take that long. So seeking professional help really helped me. They had me choose one of my OCD behaviors that was the most stressful to me and work at it one at a time. And it was too overwhelming at first. So then I picked a smaller one, which was not being so picky about putting the silverware in the drawer. I mean, if you don't have it, I don't know if you can imagine, but everything I just kept rearranging. So the little forks and the big forks, and everything was just perfect. But that's one of my things. Now I'll let somebody else step in.
All right, so we've got more people who came in. So we've got Beauty Demon, you're cleaning your brushes and listening. It's always fun to multitask. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Sassy Nas. Hey, Scarlett. Lisa, you've been dealing with anxiety since 11. Hey, Xylee, how are you doing? Michelle, make sure you're safe while you're driving. Hey, Not Another Housewife. Hey, Cheryl. Hey, Kazoodles. Yes, Xylee has been killing it lately with the Creep Show art stuff, and I am behind, but hopefully over the next couple of days I can get caught up, and I will be able to also give some of my updated opinions on what's all been going on. Hey, Dottie. Hey, Kelly. So we don't have a whole lot of sharing in the chat, which is fine. You guys know you don't ever have to feel pressured to share if you don't want to share. So since my mom has shared quite a bit, I'm going to go ahead and ask her some questions just to continue the conversation going. I'm not sure how to say your first part of your name, Ray, but good to see you. Hey, Mama T. Hey, Kelly. I'm glad you made it too. You're waiting to see my Creep Show art opinions. So either over this evening and tomorrow, because if you're not aware, we were in Vegas. We've been in Vegas from Wednesday, and we got back to my house yesterday. So
we're broke.
Yeah,
broke.
I have not really kept up with any YouTube stuff, and I know a lot has gone on, so I'm going to try and catch up myself on everything so I can have my well-rounded opinion. So that will be coming. I'm probably just going to do a live so we can all have a conversation about it, and then either tomorrow or Wednesday night, my mom and I are going to do another live stream where you guys can ask us any kind of question. It'll be a Q&A, so if you have questions about adoption or anything like that, or our relationship, or just any embarrassing story. Really, we both are open books. How I became an open book really is from her, watching her as I grew up. So that's going to be happening. If you're interested in any of that, or you have any specific questions for either me or her or us together, we'll be able to do that later this week. So that's what's to come. Miss Sassy, you also have panic disorders, OCD, and anxiety. Yeah, anxiety really, if you have it, even if it's undiagnosed, it can extremely affect your life. And I'm happy that in today's society that it is becoming more acceptable. People are a little bit more understanding about it. Of course, you always end up in those situations where some people just really don't grasp it because they've never really dealt with it, or they're ignorant to it. And
Absolutely.
that's a frustrating part about any kind of mental health. And the more severe your diagnoses get, the harder it is not only for you to cope, but for you to educate other people, because they're not really willing to always listen, because it's unfathomable for them to really understand if it's something that they're not experiencing. However, I feel that, and this is my personal feelings, that most people have experienced anxiety to some degree, but when you're diagnosed, it is an all the time over worrisome. That's what anxiety is. You over worry, you over analyze, you're scared of a lot of situations that typically, the quote unquote normal, I hate that term, but the quote unquote normal person isn't going to be scared of.
You may not even know you have anxiety. You may be being super hard on yourself, thinking it's just a personality flaw that you think. And it's by talking to people and opening up, hey, I'm feeling like this way. Have you ever been, worried about this or afraid to do that? And you realize it's not who you are. It's something you adjust to, and you learn how to handle it to make your life easier for you.
And we have some people saying that they've dealt with social anxiety pretty bad their whole life, that they don't deal with general anxiety as much. Social anxiety, it's hard to deal with to this day. Social anxiety, and I think people who don't really understand mental health don't understand the different subsects of mental health, especially when it comes to anxiety, because some people, as you're stating, only deal with anxiety in certain situations. and it's not an all the time thing. And those situations can be extremely hard.
That's a good point.
My social anxiety only happens when I'm in a brand new place and I'm by myself. If I have someone with me, I typically don't have anxiety and I can work through it. But if I'm by myself, like when I traveled by myself, I was an adult. This was only a few years ago. And I was on the phone with my mom and my husband, who both travel frequently enough to where they understand like how airports and stuff like that work. I called him the second I stepped off of every flight for them to walk me through the airport to know where I needed to go. That's how nervous I was. And that's way out of the norm for me. I'm a really laid back, go with the flow kind of person. I don't know if that comes off on camera for you guys at all.
She is.
But that's really my personality. So I know that they were a little bit more worried because I was panicking. So I was like, where do I go? Where do I go? How early do I need to be there? Where do I sit? How do I know how to sit? And I flew Southwest that time, and I didn't know that it was open seating. I thought you were assigned a seat because previously I've had flown Delta, which was assigned seating. So that was a whole different weird experience for me. And that threw me through another anxiety loop. So those are the situations that I deal with. It's like situational, primarily when I'm alone. I'm a very independent person, but when it comes to going out in public and experiencing new things, I'm not. I would much rather experience it with somebody or have somebody with me because that's how I cope with my anxiety. And again, I'm self-diagnosing here. I have never actually been diagnosed with anxiety. Not that I'm aware of. I wasn't when I was younger, was I? Mm-hmm. Okay, I didn't think so.
Something I have to be aware of is that's probably the only anxiety I don't have is social. I obviously crave lots of attention. I talk to every single person, whether they want to talk to me or not, wherever I am. I end up getting phone numbers and addresses of whoever I sit by on planes and at movie theaters, whatever. So my problem was trying to always make students of mine or my children or anybody else in my life be social. And I didn't realize for the longest time, I was giving them another form of anxiety by pushing my personality onto them. I had to be told I would rather be alone, or I would rather only be with one person and not 10. And that's something you have to be mindful of if you do not have social anxiety like myself. I kept pushing that, have somebody over, let's or let's join up with them. And they didn't really want it. That's what I wanted. So that's been something I've had to learn over the years.
And Sassy Nas is kind of providing a little bit more information as to what triggered her anxiety, I believe. Let me know if I'm incorrect about what you shared here. But she said that someone attempted to kidnap them when they were 9. Ooh. And it was traumatic. And it left scars from them holding her down. And that's what seemed to set yours off. And that's the thing. Some people are born with it. Like you automatically, like as you grow up, you just subconsciously end up having mental health. And other times it can be triggered. We also deal with a lot of PTSD in our community. A lot of people have shared, not only in this open discussion, but in other open discussions that we've had, very traumatic, serious situations that they have lived through. And, to everyone, like, hats off to you for being survivors. Absolutely. And, being able to keep on keeping on and, at times getting the help that you need. But that's another aspect of anxiety is sometimes it's triggered by an experience. And unfortunately, more often than not, the experience is a bad one. Hey, Britt, it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Hey, Jean, don't worry about being late. And Miss Sheila, I'm glad you guys are able to join. Southwest is giving you anxiety too. Well, I'm glad it's not just me. Yeah, you're the same way. You don't like to go out without your husband. I'll go out without my husband. It took me, and I think I've said this to you guys before, it took me about a year to feel comfortable in our new area to go out by myself. Working from home now, I do all of the grocery shopping and like errand running and stuff like that on my own. during the day while he's at work so we can have more time together. Whereas before we would do it on like a Saturday together. So it's given us more time to just be able to be together and, just have normal time. So that's been a good timing frame. But before that, I wouldn't go by myself. Hey, Miss Cassandra. Hey, E. Hey, Dark Magician. I said it right this time. I always want to call you something else.
Yeah, COVID gave me a different kind of anxiety because I am so social. I found out that I'm not really that fun unless I have somebody to entertain. So I was really glad that mask off, I'm fully vaccinated, let me get out there again. It's been wonderful.
Miss Jean shares that she has had anxiety since she was 10 because her father passed away. I hope you're doing well in your grieving process and that you're able to cope well. So what are some situations how do you cope with your anxiety, Mom?
Woo, okay. Well, I'm retired now from teaching. So once I learned how to handle my OCD, it wasn't like a medicine answer either. It was strictly focusing on one thing at a time until I overcame it. But my anxiety usually comes from worrying about someone I care about. Amanda and I are a lot alike that way. We feel deep empathy for people. And sometimes I have trouble coping if some of my people I love are hurting. And I have to sometimes step back for my own well-being, or just focus on a couple of weeks, of who I can do something for and reach out to. And that's one of the reasons why I love Amanda's channel so much. I totally love the way you support each other. It really is a good healing group and like a friendship group too. And a lot of my anxiety was filled by close girlfriends. And then the things that really bothered me, I never wanted to put on my family or my girlfriends. And that's why I went for therapy, because I felt like I was paying that person. I could really unload everything. And probably the biggest takeaway for me was that I wasn't alone in any of my thoughts, any of my problems, any of my quirks. I mean, sometimes that's all you need, just someone to listen and say, hey, I felt that way. This is normal. You should have reacted like that. You have every reason to be sad, mad, lonely, fearful. And any steps that work for you personally to overcome it, there's been a wide variety for me, whether it's sharing with a counselor or a girlfriend or setting aside time for myself. And, sometimes journaling, what are all my blessings, not just what's kept me down or what do I feel is lacking in my own self. And then a lot of you, I've been watching her channel, usually behind the scenes, but it's, I take away ideas from you as well and how you comfort each other. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. And that's kind of the goal of these open discussions when I started doing it, was to give everyone an outlet to have somewhat of what hopefully you guys all feel it's a safe space. And I feel the ones who do share clearly do feel comfortable enough here to have these conversations. And the goal is, for me anyways, for you guys, if you are struggling, to either get an idea from someone in the chat or myself, and knowing that even helps my mom. And I know some of you guys have reached out to me and we've had private conversations about how these help you guys too. It's, it's something that I will forever do as long as, people want to continue to engage and have these conversations. It's to have that sense of you're not alone, because a lot of people who struggle not only with anxiety or PTSD or any kind of mental health, oftentimes you feel alone. You don't always feel comfortable saying what you're struggling with because you're afraid of judgment, or you're afraid that they're not going to understand. And it may be a close friend or a family member that is a little bit more judgmental, and you're afraid to let them know what's actually going on, because they may think of you differently or see you differently. And it's just it's almost anxiety in and of itself when you have any kind of diagnosis and you're trying to work through that. And everybody has different coping mechanisms. And if you have anything or you feel like you're struggling with any mental health, I always encourage you guys to seek professional help, because people online are only going to be able to help you so much. We can only give you so much advice, how we handled it, but it's different when you have a professional talking it out with you, letting you know that you're not alone, letting you know that there's communities out there, giving you coping mechanisms if you haven't found any on your own. That's their job. Their job is to help you. Not always, if you have any kind of mental health, do you have to take medication. Mm-hmm. And if you want to take medication and it's kind of necessary, then do what you feel is best between you and your doctor.
Yeah, and don't feel bad about it. The biggest thing is there's nothing wrong with you. This is just one aspect of you that you want to ease up on yourself about. It is like, that doesn't define who you are because you have anxiety or PTSD. You need to realize that. And maybe even on Amanda's forum, you might share a book you read that made you feel better. Not necessarily like a historical lover's tale, but if there was something on OCD or another thing that, like I was given lots of pamphlets and books to read, and it was like, geez, I never knew I had this. What an eye opener. I thought I was literally going crazy. I really did.
Yeah. And I think that's how a lot of people feel. And Sassy, never apologize for engaging in the conversation in the chat. Please don't feel that way. I enjoy everybody who is willing to talk. I appreciate your engagement. And I'm sorry that you feel that your mom is judgmental of you.
We all have that problem sometimes.
Yeah. That's some of the downsides of having any kind of mental health, or even if it's not mental health, but you're just struggling. It's hard to feel judged and to find your way out of it when people that you love and care about aren't really being understanding, or even trying to take into consideration what you may be going through. Hey, Claire, it's good to see you. And I want to add that if you don't seek professional help, don't down yourself for that. Some people can't afford it. The US health system, I don't want to get political and we're not going to go too far into that, but our health system kind of sucks. And, it's hard for some people because of insurance. And that's why I always push that if you're struggling at any point, to dial star 211, because they will have subsidized treatment. Most communities do have free assistance. It's a matter of finding it. Mm-hmm. And that's why I always encourage, if you're struggling, even if you don't disclose it here, that's readily available to anybody in the US. And I know there's numbers for if you're overseas. I don't know them off the top of my head like I do the one here. But that's also why I offer the caveat that you can always reach out to me. I'm not going to counsel you at all, because I can't. That's ethically incorrect for me to do. But I can help you link up to resources no matter what you're struggling with. Xylee, thank you for the super chat. You didn't need to do that. I appreciate it. Let's see. Miss Cheryl says, for years she kept it an issue. Her issue is secret. Then her 13-year-old asked her to talk to one of her friends, whose parent were in a bad divorce, to tell her it was okay to take medication. Then I stopped hiding. And sometimes society for so long made mental health out to be something awful. And, just in the last couple of years, have people become a little bit less judgmental and a little bit more understanding, as people are trying to educate themselves more and understanding that more people struggle with mental health than most people even realize. I don't know what the statistic is, but I'm pretty sure it's really high on the amount of people who actually suffer, whether it's diagnosed or not, with any kind of mental health. And all mental health should be taken seriously. Sometimes I see things, especially in the internet world, of, oh, well, it's just anxiety or it's just depression. And they should be taken a little bit more seriously. Yes. I do understand, and I've even had the argument during other conversations when talking about problematic creators, is when you start to use your mental health as an excuse. Is it an explanation for how you may behave at times and why things may happen a certain way? Absolutely. But it does not really give you the ability to use it as a fallback. Oftentimes we see in apology videos, if we want to even call them that, people trying to say that they were really struggling. And I'm sure that they were, but the problem with that is it almost stigmatizes further, while we're, as a whole society, trying to lessen the stigma of mental health. When they do that, it almost re-stigmatizes it to a degree. And that's where I have issues with creators who fall back on mental health.
Okay, this isn't a good segue. I obviously butt in because I can't see your comments off to the side, so I'm probably talking too much. But one thing I have found, I am 63, and once I hit like 50, women were so much more willing to open up about anything that was bothering them. It was like a gift to me. All of a sudden, I found out everyone else had these thoughts, these feelings, these anxieties, different mental health issues, and like everything was okay and everything was all right. So I don't know where you are in your age bracket. I don't know if anyone 50 or older like me has found that it's gotten easier to open up about our feelings and thoughts and things that bother us with anxiety. But I found that to be true, especially when I was a younger woman. I thought I had to appear perfect about the perfect happy wife and house cleaner and cook and mother. And the older I got, I realized, what a joke. I mean, take that pressure off myself. You know, nobody said you had to be all of it, you know, all the time. And I found with age, other women opened up like I did. And we lessened, you know, all the pressure on ourselves, which also helped with our anxiety. I mean, it actually became a coping mechanism to lessen the pressure on ourselves, and also to be able to say, oh, I've got it too. You know, I'm on medication. You know, it was no longer a big deal the older we got.
Yeah. Miss Michelle says that she finally broke down and saw her GP in 2017 when she was 47 and got diagnosed with anxiety and depression. And that's, she was put on medication, and then she was able to see how much she was suffering for years.
Bless your heart. I'm glad it worked.
Yeah, we are absolutely all allowed to be human. And I agree, Kiki Ray, it can be hard to find friends once you reach a certain age bracket. You guys know I'm 31, and I've been in this area that we're in for a year and a half. And a lot of it is cultural here for me. That makes it a little hard to find friends. But I'm not somebody who is really comfortable going online to try and use any kind of app to find friends. And it is harder with today's society to just go out and make friends. It really is. And that is a part of life. It's hard to not have somebody that you can relate to and that you can feel you can call. Luckily, I'm sure I've seen a lot of you guys see, we're really open with each other. So she's the one that I call. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's reciprocated.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I've never really been someone to make friends easily. And I think a lot of that is just because I am pretty guarded with allowing people into my circle. I will have a lot of friends and I'll stay close with them as long as I'm around them. But once I move away, or they move away, or they get into different stages of their life that I'm not at, it's harder to connect. And that makes it hard to maintain the friendship.
I understand that.
Heidi says her diagnosis was when she was 7 or 8, and it manifested in stomach aches. Yeah, mental health can affect your physical health. It really can. It absolutely can.
How are you doing now? Do you mind me asking?
We'll see if she decides to. And don't feel that you have to answer if you're not comfortable with that. Hey, Bambi, good to see you. Turning 50 is so freeing.
Yes, it is.
You literally finally don't give a shit what anyone thinks of you except for you. And that's awesome. I'm glad you've been able to get to that point. I know she has similar experiences with that.
I do.
Well, I'm glad you guys enjoy having her on. I know this is a little bit, they've been saying that. I know this is a more serious conversation, but she has like she said, she has diagnosis. So I figured this would be a good time to have her on because I don't have these diagnoses. So you guys know I'll have conversations even if I don't have it, but it makes it a little bit harder for me to facilitate and open up when I really don't have any of this to really give people a base to feel comfortable to talk about. That's, if you've ever been a part of my open discussions, oftentimes the way that I operate these is letting you know what I've experienced close to whatever the topic is, not only to be transparent and vulnerable with you guys, but just to allow people to feel comfortable because I've shared that they may feel comfortable to share in return. So, my mom doesn't care that I cuss.
No.
I will tell a funny little story, just so you guys don't feel that I'm insulting her or anything. When we were growing up.
Oh, no, I know what you're going to say.
When we were growing up, we had what was labeled as our cussing couch. We had a little love seat couch in one of our living rooms, and anytime we were overly frustrated or just wanted to be goofy, because our whole family really is goofy, we would just sit on the couch and like let it go. Of course, there were a few words that were always off limits, and rightfully so, but otherwise it was more of like us just being silly with each other and trying to make each other laugh. So we've always kind of had an open kind of communication about things like that. Our family is very, very open with each other. And I think that's why we are so close, is because we were raised as a way to not feel that there's anything wrong with you, or that you can't share something or can't tell if you're mad, that you had to hide it or perceive to be perfect. When we were in our house, I mean, even in public in certain situations, but in the house, we were free. It really was free. And it really helped us to not be sheltered when we were going out, because if we said something that was wrong or inappropriate, it gave them, my mom more than my dad, because my dad was gone a lot, it gave her the opportunity to educate us and to let us know why it was wrong and why you don't do it again. Or on the verse side, when it is appropriate to have, those kinds of conversations, when it's appropriate to curse or whatever it may be. So we had a pretty open household that way.
Aren't you going to tell them what happened to the couch? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
This is where I thought she was going with it.
No.
Her older sister and herself were fine, but then her little brother got where he could sit on the couch. His first time, he did like a string of 13 cuss words. That couch went to the dump within the week. And there was no more cussing couch in our house.
And that's something that you guys will see when we do our Q&A, is I will rely on her to recall my memory. I've talked with you guys, if you ever watched my growing up story, I really do suffer with memory issues. I don't remember a lot. Like, I know what's going to be asked is with the day I was adopted. And as I've stated in there, I don't remember it, but she does. So she'll be able to discuss it from that point, and she'll be able to discuss how I reacted. But I don't remember that. I don't really even remember a lot of my high school times and like memories in high school. My memory is literal crap. I can't ever recall a lot of stuff. So I rely on my family to remind me of these things. Like I remember the cussing couch, and now that she says that, I do remember my brother sitting on
That's
there.
what happened to it.
I even remember kind of what he was saying,
It's
but
not good.
no, it wasn't. But I forgot that it ended up being taken
Oh yeah.
because of that. A lot of it, Sassy, you said maybe you blocked it out to protect yourself. Absolutely. That's a coping mechanism with if you've ever experienced any kind of childhood trauma, it's almost always going to happen that you're either going to block out the one thing that was traumatic. And for me, you have to understand mine spanned for 10 years. So my brain automatically it shuts things out, even happy, positive memories. It shuts everything out. My long-term memory it's like non-existent, but that's a whole nother story. We can talk about that in our Q&A. I don't know when it'll be. I will schedule it. It's probably going to be in the evening time because I do have some subscribers who are living across the world and they want to be a part of it. So
don't be afraid to come back and see me again.
So I'm going to schedule it for in the evening time, a little bit later than what we are now, probably after dinner. So I'm thinking either 7 or 8 Mountain Time. It's going to depend on what other people are doing, just so if you guys are trying to think. It may be tomorrow, it may be Wednesday, but I'll try to post it in the morning so you know. No, I am the only child that's adopted. My sister and my brother are my mom's biological children. My sister is 8 years older than me, and my brother is 5 years younger than me. So I really just filled the gap. And I was the easiest one because she didn't have to birth me. So, I get brownie points for that automatically.
You better believe it.
All right. So I'm not sure, does anybody else have anything that they want to share? We kind of have discussed quite a bit of the topic today, so I don't know if there's any questions in relation to the topic. I do want to keep this stream pretty much focused on our open discussion. That way we can actually have the discussion and have open questions related to whatever you guys would like, either tomorrow or Wednesday. I don't want them to blend, and I know I kind of allowed that to happen just then, so I'm going to try and get us back on track. So let's see. I'm going to go up and see if anybody in the chat has said anything while we were rambling about some memories. All right. Thank you, Bambi. Bambi says that you're beautiful.
Oh my gosh. I love you, Bambi.
All right. It kind of seems like I steered the conversation too far left. So with all of that being said, I appreciate you guys all. My mom is so tan. That's all natural, by the way.
I don't feel tan.
Yeah, that's natural. She's quite a bit darker than me. I stay pasty. My dad stays pasty.
Yep. That's true.
My brother tans and my sister tans. Not as dark as she does, though. She tans the easiest. So, yeah, she does have. I know on my channel, and this is the last thing I'll say, and then we'll wrap it up. I know on my channel, I tend to be more professional with you guys, and maybe I should be better about allowing you guys to see more of my personality. But the attitude and spunk that you see with her, I have, if not worse. Mine is more, I tend to be a little bit more sassy, but I try to maintain some level of professionalism on my channel just because we do have a lot of serious conversations. So I don't ever want it to seem that, I'm being two different people by one video being like super silly and sassy and like, nah kind of thing. And then the next one be super serious. But maybe I'll try to incorporate a little bit more of my personality into some videos and things like that.
And if we were talking about certain situations that you talk about, like the elderly, dogs, children being abused, you would not see any smiles or kindness coming from me, because I would be a bulldog, just like Amanda, to defend the innocent and those that can't protect themselves. So some of it is always going to be related to content.
Yeah. But guys, I appreciate you being here. If you're new or you haven't yet liked the video, please go ahead and like it. If you're new, subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, don't make me sad.
And don't let her pressure you either. Only
Well,
if
yeah,
you want.
come on. I'm not as nice as her.
And I will schedule when we're going to do the Q&A. So if you guys are interested, it will be either tomorrow or Wednesday, and it'll probably be around 7 or 8 Mountain Time. So with all of that being said, I appreciate you all, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day, evening, or night, wherever you guys are.
Thanks for putting up with me.